What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am back again with another video, and as y'all may or may not be able to tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be going over 10 reskins that have happened in LDOE, and I'm going to give y'all my top 5 favorite reskins that they've done, and my top least favorite reskins that they've done. If you guys do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, as well as subscribe. It is free, and you can always change your mind later. There are absolutely no hard feelings. But yeah, anyway, with all of that said, let's go ahead and just jump right into the video. So what I mean by reskin is, for example, when they took trash and then reskinned it as the Winchester. Obviously that's a joke, they were two separate items, but it'd be one item that looked one way and they changed it to look a different way. It's still the same item, but it just has a different look in your inventory. So the way the video is going to work is I'm kind of going to alternate between what I think is a good reskin and a bad reskin. So let's go ahead and start off the list with a good reskin, and that is puppies. It used to be where whenever you'd pick up a puppy, you just have the dog sitting in your inventory, but the way it is now is whenever you pick up a puppy, it is a puppy in a box. And I just feel like this kind of makes more sense than just kind of having a dog in your pocket. Makes it seem a little bit more logical, even though it's really not logical. It's not a logical game. It's a fucking zombie game, so it can't really be that logical, but I kind of do like the idea of just having the puppy in a box in your inventory as opposed to just a puppy sitting out in your inventory. Plus, I think the puppy in a box just looks a little bit better than having the puppy in it by itself. And then a bad reskin, I think, was when they changed weapon parts into springs. You can say this kind of wasn't a reskin, it was just changing one item into another, but at the same time it kind of was, because every weapon part you'd have would just turn into springs, so it kind of reskins the name and the way it looked, and I honestly just kind of like the way weapon parts looked a lot better than the way springs look. I feel like springs are just kind of basic and boring, whereas weapon parts were kind of interesting and had a little bit more going on, so it was a bit more appealing to look at than just a spring. Now, a good reskin they did is, I don't know if a lot of y'all will remember this, but the chopper wheel used to look completely different than it does now. I think they changed its look about a month into the game being released, so a lot of people don't know that there is a version of the chopper wheel before what you see now. But I think that change was completely for the better. I'm a big fan of it. The way the chopper wheel looked before was just kind of boring, whereas now it's a lot more interesting. Moving over to a bad reskin, this is kind of a little bit more of a loaded reskin when they changed the dual Berettas into the Magnum. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Magnum, but they turned a weapon that was pretty good into the Magnum. Now, I think the Magnum itself is a pretty cool weapon, but I kind of wish they'd add it as a separate weapon apart from the dual Berettas, because I was honestly a fan of this weapon when it came out. I just liked the style of akimboing pistols. Hell, maybe the game can turn that into like an attachment for the Magnum, where you can dual shoot Magnums or something like that. I think that'd be very interesting, but I honestly just love the idea of dual Berettas. On the flip side, a good reskin they did was basically when they reskinned the shotgun, the AK, and the Glock. They did this about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer, but if you've been playing the game since its release or a year or two after, you know that the shotgun and the AK and the Glock looked completely different than they do now, and they look a lot better now. They look a lot more detailed now than they were, whereas before they were just cartoony-ish guns that really weren't as appealing as they are now. However, another bad change, which actually happened really recently, at the time I'm recording this video, it actually happened 2 weeks ago, when they changed the fox fur into just fur. I know they mainly did it so you can get fur from animals that aren't the fox, but I honestly preferred the way that the skin looked before. It looked more like the skin off an animal. I don't know what it is, but the way that the fox fur looked was just a lot more appealing than the way the fur is now. It kind of looks like something that came out of Frostborn. And I think they kind of dropped the ball. If they would have just left the way the fox fur looks and just changed it to fur, I don't think it really would have made that big of a deal, or hell, maybe even changed the fur into gray or something like that. But I just think the way fur looks now is just boring. A really good change that they did, though, was military armor. Again, this was back in the day when the shotgun and AK looked as bad as they did. The military armor was pretty bad. The way it looks now is it's vibrant, it's a green that's actually pretty nice to look at, whereas back then it was just like a shitty military green. And obviously it's military armor, so it's going to look military green, but when they changed it, they just made it look a lot more vibrant and a lot more like something you'd want to wear. Another change they did recently, which actually kind of pissed me off when they did it, when they reskinned oak logs. The way it looked before, they were a lot thicker, and you could definitely tell that it was supposed to be a more sturdy material. Because, you know, obviously they were thicker logs, and you'd use those thicker logs to make thicker and stronger walls. Whereas now they just kind of look like a little bit wider, darker pine plank. It doesn't really give off the aesthetic that it's meant for a stronger wall. It kind of just looks like a slightly bigger pine plank, and to be honest, if you new to the game, I can completely see how you'd confuse pine planks and oak planks because they look so similar now, whereas before they changed it, they had two totally separate identities. Next, by far, I think my favorite reskin that they've done in the entire game was bandages. Before, bandages looked very, very boring. They just looked like white blobs with a wrap around it and that hospital X it had. Whereas now they actually look like actual bandages. It's got a lot more detail, and to be honest, they're just a little bit easier to look at than the bandages were before. But ending off the list with the worst reskin that is ever been implemented into the game was when they changed beans into canned food.
Oh, beans! They took our beans! No! It's canned food now!
Beans have just been in the game for so long, you know, it's been the first food that you would eat for the first 5 years of the game, and you've just been with it for so long that they changed it into canned food. I think the main reason that they changed this in the first place is because that beans looked like a brand of beans that are popular now. So the brand of beans was like, hey, you pretty much just copied our design, you can't do that. So I feel like they had to change it. But at the same time, beans were just better than canned food. I don't know how to explain it. They were just significantly better. I feel like they looked better. They felt like more of a zombie aesthetic feel than canned food does. Canned food just feels heartless and soulless, whereas beans would bring you joy. And that's the video, guys. I hope y'all did enjoy. Let me know what you guys think of the list down in the comments down below. Maybe let me know if there is a reskin that I missed that you guys absolutely hated or you guys absolutely loved. I probably won't make a part 2 of this video because there's not really been a lot of reskins that have stuck out as good or bad. But regardless, let me know how y'all feel about it down in the comments. Also down in the comments, if you ever have any questions, you can ask them down there. I will do my best to answer every single question to the best of my ability. Or also, if you ever have any questions, you can join the Discord. Link for that is, as always, in the description. But yeah, anyway, that is all for me. I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of y'all's day. I'm out. Peace.